Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Cutting Edge Figure Skating Podcast. My name is Kim Dunaway, and in this episode, I will be previewing the World Figure Skating Championships, and this episode will cover the pairs. So, the pairs will kick off World Championships 1 week from today, Wednesday, March the 20th, and the Worlds will be held in Montreal. So, if you're like me and you're in North America, this is a very favorable time zone for watching Worlds. Of course, Worlds was supposed to be in Montreal in 2020 and unfortunately was canceled like a week before due to COVID. And so they're now getting to host. I've heard lots of rumors of extremely high ticket prices and people feeling like there's a lot of seats left and potential for a lot of empty seats. And so I think it will be definitely better attended than Canadian Nationals was, but definitely not going to get an atmosphere like we had at Europeans, for instance. So we'll see. Maybe they'll have a last minute flurry of people buying tickets and we'll see what the turnout is. And it'll be interesting to see what the turnout for pairs is because pairs and ice dance definitely represents Canada's best chance to win a medal at Worlds, and pairs might represent its best chance to win a gold medal. So let's talk about the contenders first. It's difficult to pick a favorite coming into pairs because it's been a season where we haven't had a dominant pair. Coming into last season, Mira and Kihara had won every single event that they had entered. And so they definitely came in as the favorites with Brandon and Alexa not too far behind. This season, though, it's really been very up and down. And when it seemed like maybe it was going to be Deanna and Max as the favorites, then Hasi and Volodin sort of came on the scene. And well, maybe it's them. And then it was like, well, maybe it's going to be Meltikina and Buralava. And so I think that I would still put Deanna and Max as the favorites coming in just because I feel like if you stack everybody up and everybody skates their best, Deanna and Max win. The question is, can anybody skate their best and win? Because we've seen flashes from everybody at different times, but we've also seen a lot of mistakes. And whereas Deanna and Max come in definitely for me as the favorites, just based on what they've scored in their short program and what they have scored in their free skate, they also have had just mistakes here and there. So for them in the short program, the biggest issue has been on their throw triple loop. It's been very inconsistent most of the season. It's done much better in the free skate for whatever reason. And then in the free skate, the big issue for them has been with their side-by-side jumps and usually with Max less than Deanna. So they do a triple toe, single axle, double axle combo that they've been doing all season. And I've questioned all season if they were going to upgrade that single axle to a double axle. My guess is actually probably no, just because that combination still hasn't been super consistent for either one of them. At times, somebody has singled the double axle or had an issue there. So I think they might go a little, and it's not a safe combination by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that they might just stick with that. I'll definitely hope to get some practice reports to see what they're doing. I don't typically air practices unless it's in the US here on Peacock. So, but I'll certainly get some reports and see what they're doing in terms of the side-by-sides. But I'm going to guess that they're going to keep that there and that the extra 2 points in base value is probably not worth the risk for them and just focus on getting those other elements clean. The other issue for them at times has been their very final lift of their program. It's a really fantastic lift, but there was a competition when they didn't get the full value on that. And there's been another competition when it was a little bit shaky. So we all know how intense Deanna is. But of course, last year they really couldn't bring their best at Worlds. And are they going to be able to really embrace the energy of having a home Worlds? Or is that going to put even more pressure on them? That's going to be the real question. For me, they come in as the favorites. Those that are really going to be pushing them, I would put Hasi and Volodin next. And I know they're coming off of a rough performance at Europeans, but they really just killed it in the fall, winning both of their Grand Prix and winning Grand Prix final. So they come into Europeans as the favorites and really faltered there. But I think you're asking a lot of pair teams to go and just kind of kill it every single time they go out there. their biggest issue oftentimes is with Minerva's side-by-side jump, particularly the triple Salchow, and at times one of their throws has also not been consistent. So they have all the goods. I think where Deanna and Max get the edge is really in the short program, because even when Minerva and Nikita have skated really well, they haven't been able to really get over that 70-point hump like we've been able to see Deanna and Max get 70 points even with a mistake. So I think it's going to be really, really crucial that they go out and skate well in the short program to put themselves in a very good position. They do have that killer triple toe, double axle combination that can really get them a lot of points and make up for a potential deficit in the short program. But they need to go out there and skate their best if they are behind. Another team that I would put in this category, even though they've had a bit of a rough season, and that's Conti and Machi. And they are coming off of not their best performance at Europeans. They were the third Italian pair at Europeans. They are here largely on the fact that they were second at Grand Prix final. And they're also coming in as the reigning world bronze medalist. And the potential is definitely there for them. They've been just so inconsistent all season. One of their issues has been their twist, which affects them in both programs. They just have not been able to get all of their features on that. And they lose points with some of these other teams that have really great twists. Like Deanna and Max have greatly improved their twist, and some of these other teams have level 4 twist or get high GOE in a level 3. And at times, Sarah and Nicolo, I think I've even gotten maybe even a level 1, but very often a level 2, not a lot of great GOE. And so that's been an issue for them. And they've been inconsistent with other elements, their side-by-side jumps, their throws. What will help them is that a lot of the other elements in their programs, like their lifts, their spiral, their spins, they do tend to get level 4, and they do have high quality on that. They are repeating their last year's free skate, which I've been complaining about all season. But I will say they haven't really skated it well all season. So I think there is still a moment left in this program if they can really bring it. And I think that the judges will certainly give them the benefit of the doubt in that second mark if they can bring their best to Worlds. Big wild card coming into this World is the reigning world champions, Miura and Kihara, because we just haven't seen much of them this season. They came out at Autumn Classic, skated really poorly, were behind Deanna and Max, and then we didn't see them at all in the Grand Prix season due to an injury with Kihara. And so they go to Four Continents. It's the first that we've seen them all season, and they do okay. And we certainly, I think, are on track with what you would expect when you haven't competed in 4 or 5 months. But how much ground can they make up since then till now? You know, they've had about 6 weeks. They've made the decision to go back to an older free skate. They're going back to the free skate that they did from the 2020-2021 season that they repeated in the Olympic year also. So it's a very familiar program for them. It's a program that we've seen quite many times. And it's also, to me, it's not a big deal. To me, a lot of their programs look and feel very similar anyway. But perhaps it's going to give them the confidence to be able to be more comfortable with the program, because they just haven't been able to get enough outings with the new material that they had at Four Continents. So we'll see if that helps them. Obviously, if they go out and skate their absolute best, they're a team that can go 80 in the short program and 150 in the free skate, which they're not numbers that Deanna and Max, in my opinion, can hit. But I just don't think, based upon what we've seen from them this season, that they're anywhere capable to those kind of scores. But if they go out and skate their best, they can certainly go out and win. So for me, they're probably the biggest wild card coming in, because they have just such a huge range of what we can see from them. That being said, I think I would be surprised if they didn't podium at all. Like, they may not win here. And the pairs is so interesting to me. I hope we get a really great competition and not just like a splat fest, because you just don't know. But it's still hard for me to see 3 other teams jumping ahead of them and getting on the podium with what we've seen from Miura and Kihara over the past 2 seasons, and with the experience that they have at this level of skating under pressure. even though, poor Riku at times has folded a little bit under that pressure. So we'll see if she can skate her best, because I was a little underwhelmed with what she did at Four Continents. And I think I hammered on that a little bit. I felt like she should have been a little bit stronger in some of her singles elements, side-by-side jumps, because she's had a lot of time to really work on that while her partner was injured. Another big wild card has got to be the Georgian pair of Meltikina and Buralaba, who have also had kind of a wide range of what we've seen them at this season. They have one of the highest scores of the season when they won Warsaw Cup back in the fall. But they spent the entire fall season outside of that competition in juniors, where they don't have the same requirements that you have in seniors. And so you can't really compare those junior scores to what they're doing, what the other senior pairs are doing. So they obviously looked great in the short program at Europeans, and they also looked great in the short program at World Junior Championships just a couple of weeks ago. But their long program in both of those competitions was not good. And so I'm very curious to see how they rebound, even though they won World Juniors going away. Very, very messy free skate that they had there. And even though they ended up second at Europeans, they had a lead going into the free skate and just kind of held on to that. So it's going to be very, very competitive. They have a competitive short program. Their free skate is not nearly as strong, and I think there's a lot of teams that can do better than them. But they have the potential to win the whole shebang. I think it would require other teams to not skate at their potential. But if they go out there and skate balls to the walls in both programs, it's going to require some of these other teams to skate very well to hold them off. So I think they're absolutely in the conversation. It really is going to come down to what that free skate looks like for them. Then the other team that I would look at less as a potential for the podium, this sounds really, really unfair, and that's Bakari and Garizi, and they're coming off of a huge win at Europeans, where they're a newer team. She's very young. There's a big age gap between this team. I love their short program. They might have my favorite short program of the entire pairs competition. I also really love Deanna and Max's short program too. So I love both of them, but it's such a contrast from, of course, that Cats free skate, which I feel like it's just been kind of an epic fail all season. Although when they skated it fairly close to clean at Europeans, it certainly looked a lot better than it has when it's been messy. So they're definitely a wild card. I think even at their best, they wouldn't be someone I would think that would win Worlds. But they're a team that can capitalize if other teams ahead of them make mistakes, which is exactly what happened to Europeans. Hasi and Volodin didn't skate well. Meltik and Borolava didn't skate well. And then, boom, Bakari and Garizi sneak in there for the win. So they're definitely going to be in the conversation, and they're coming in as European champion is definitely going to help them, because I feel like they've been underscored in that short program all season. I think if they go out and skate it well, they're going to get the best score that they've had all season coming off of that win. So they're definitely a big wild card for me. And the other podium contender, I would say, is more on the outside looking in, but just a sentimental favorite, is the Chinese pair of Ping and Wang. And they won the short program at NHK. They've done really well in that short program all season. What's going to hurt them is they're going to have to skate early because they just don't have the world standing points, and that's going to affect their score. But they're so good in that short program. I love their free skate also, but they're definitely going to be a beat behind everybody else because they don't have two side-by-side triple jumps. And it's been a struggle for them even on the side-by-side double salchows, because they've had to add their double toe onto the end of that just to get a combination in, because their triple toes are not as consistent for them. And I think Ching even got an undercall on the double toe. That's a real issue for them, which means they've got to be good on every single other element. They have also had issues with their twist in all of their competitions this season. And so that has also been an issue for them. So I think they're a team that absolutely should be in the top 10 and should qualify another spot for China. And I would be really surprised if they weren't there. But I think as far as a podium contender, it's going to be a bit more of a stretch for them just based on the technical base value that they have with that other side-by-side jump. And you've got a lot of these other teams doing that real big triple toe, double axle combination. Here you are with something with like a 4-point base value, and you've got other people with like something with a 10-point base value. That's a huge difference. They do have absolutely beautiful throws. And like I said, they could go out, knock it out in the short program and find themselves in contention. I just think it's going to be difficult for them to put together a performance in the free skate based on what we've seen from them that's going to put them there. But they're certainly, like, with my heart, a team that I am definitely rooting for. I think if you look at this next batch of contenders, you're looking at Piera and Michaud, you're looking at our Hungarian team of Pavlova and Shevchenko, and you're looking at the other German pair of Hawk and Kunkel. And all three of them certainly have potential to contend for the medals. And I might also throw the Australian pair in there of Anastasia Golubeva and Hector Giotopoulos Mower in there as well. So let me talk about each of these teams really quickly. So with Piera and Michaud, they started off the season very strong in coming in second at Skate America and then winning their second Grand Prix. But since then, it's just been a real struggle at Grand Prix final, at Nationals, and at Four Continents. They've been really underwhelming since then. And they did seem like at Four Continents in that free skate, they were able to get their throws back, which has been a real struggle for them in the past few competitions. And so hopefully underneath the home worlds that they're able to really capture that energy and bring their best. I think that their programs this season have been a disappointment over what I was expecting to see from them based upon how they ended last season. I mean, they ended up last season just really, really strong, and they were 6th at Worlds in their first Worlds. And frankly, it's hard for me to see how they're going to be in the top 6 again at this World Championships based upon how they've skated in the past few competitions, because the judges have been real stingy with marks for them, and they've really hammered them on things like side-by-side spin, sync, not being in sync. And so they really have to be really strong in these other areas. I've really complimented them all season for their side-by-side jumps, but at times they haven't, I feel like all season in the free skate, they just have not been able to get on the same page at the same time. Like one of them has made an error somewhere. So they really are going to have to bring their best and then hope again that teams falter ahead of them, because they're just coming in with a little bit of a disadvantage when it comes to their PCS. You can just tell if you look at them versus Deanna and Max or Mira and Kihara, like they don't look at each other very much. The connection's just not really there, and they are a newer pair. But then when the technical elements aren't there either, then they just kind of fall by the wayside a little bit. So for them, that's going to be the real big issue is, can they get back onto a more confident with those technical elements, and can they increase that connection a little bit? Remember, they changed their short program music. It didn't look to me like they've changed the choreography, but in trying to help that a little bit, we'll see if it pays off for them or not. The Hungarian pair, I think, is another big wild card because the technical elements for them are very strong and have been all season. The second mark has been really what's held them down, because there's just not a lot in their programs really outside of the elements. It's just kind of very empty, and they have been very frustrated with their marks. They feel like they're getting marked down because they're Russian skaters, which is just, I think there's, and I won't say that there might not be a hint of that with some judges. Who knows? I mean, it's a possibility. But if you look at and compare their program components versus a lot of these other top teams, there's just no comparison. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in that department. But if they go out there and skate very well, they'll absolutely put themselves in the conversation just based upon that. And we'll see where the chips fall for them. With Hawk and Kunkel, unfortunately for them, it's especially for Annika, it's just been a struggle for her with her side-by-side triple Salchows really all season. And so that's really been an issue for them in the short program. And it's often been an issue for them in the past. It always feels like they're trying to come from behind. And that's not really a place that you want to be in pairs and have to hope that you've got the elements in the free skate. They have a banger free skate, even though it's the second year that they've used it. And they've got a really banger short program too. It was one that I was questioning a lot at the beginning of the season, and it's really, really grown on me. But if they go out and have those same mistakes on those side-by-side jumps, they're going to find themselves in that same position around 8th to 10th place. at this championships. It would be lovely to see them go out and fire on all cylinders and nail everything and really put pressure on some of these teams ahead of them, because they can. The judges do like them, and they have, like even at Skate America, they were ahead of Leah and Trent, even with a fall in the short program. The judges do like their programs, and they do like a lot of their elements. I love how they use the music, and I think they really use those crescendos and those beats, and they're great performers, but they've got to come out and skate really clean. And then with the Australians, they are kind of like the Hungarians. They don't quite have that. This is just their first full year in seniors. You know, they were at Worlds last year and at Four Continents, but they spent most of the year on the junior circuit. This is their first year in seniors. And so you would not expect for their presentation skills and their, program composition and all of that to be where everybody else is. But technically, they can absolutely knock the doors off the place. They are fantastic on those elements when they are on. They're another team that can really struggle with their twist at times, and that can also be something that can really hold them back. But I think they're a team like in that next group that's like knocking on the door, and I'm very excited to see how they perform here, coming off of what was a really strong free skate for them at Four Continents. I love their Umbrellas of Cherbourg free skate. I think it suits them so well. And they're a team, I think, that if they continue to rise, could, depending upon what happens with the Russians, could really be knocking on the door for Italy in the Olympics 2 years from now. And I really, truly believe that. Like they have all of the bones there. They just need a little bit more work with the choreography in the PCS department, but all the elements for them are really there. So to me, like those are the teams that we're looking at as, podium contenders or podium pushers. As far as the U.S. teams, Emily Chan and Spencer Howe are a big wild card because we only saw them at the short program at Nationals. We haven't seen them in anywhere else this season. Haven't even seen their free skate this year. And they were 5th at Worlds last year. And so they're a team that, could push some of these other teams. I think it's unlikely just based that we haven't really seen them this season, and they don't have the best record of being super consistent. But the U.S. has really benefited from the Russians not being here the last couple of Worlds, and they've been able to have 3 spots. I think it's going to be very difficult for them to maintain 3 spots going into this World Championships, just based on the fact that it will require a lot of both Spencer and Emily and Ellie and Danny, and we just really haven't seen that. With Ellie and Danny, they are coming off of a bronze place finish at Four Continents. They're coming off of a national title, a very underwhelming national title, but a national title nonetheless. Of course, we know for them, it comes down to those throws, which have just been incredibly inconsistent for them. Their side-by-side jumps have improved so much. Their programs are beautiful. They have fantastic lifts. Everything else is there. I mean, if they came out and landed those throws, all of a sudden they could be in the conversation. The judges really do like these programs, but it's hard to see them all of a sudden coming together when they've been such an issue for them in every competition this season. And then, of course, the other U.S. team of Plazas and Fernandez, I think, are not really a contender for them. It'll be hopefully just a fun event for them to get some Worlds experience and maybe not feel too much pressure, and maybe we'll be surprised at the performances that they put. If nothing else, I think they'll be a great showstopper, especially with that Top Gun free skate that they have. I'm sure that the Canadian fans aren't big into Top Gun, but I think compared to like all of the slow, boring piano music that we get a lot of times in some of these programs, I think it can stand out in the field. All right, so that is my pairs preview. So as far as my predictions, like this is going to be tough because, boy, I really, like I said, Deanna and Max come in for me as the favorites. I just kind of feel like I just don't know if they're going to do it. I just kind of feel like, it's going to be somebody like Hasi and Volodin winning and Deanna and Max coming in second, and then Mira Kihar or something like that. But if I'm just going to make an official prediction, I'm just going to go bold and say Deanna and Max get it done and they win a world title. I feel like Deanna feels like this is like their one shot. Like I feel like that's why she's so intense, is that she's like, this is our one shot. Like Mira and Kihara have been injured all season. The Russian, we might have a Russian team back next year. Like this is our shot. Like we've got to do it this year. And I hope that she lets go of that a little bit, because I think that doesn't help you coming into this kind of a championships. But I'm just gonna say that they win. I'm gonna say that Hasi and Volodin get silver, and I'm going to say Mira and Kihara eke out the bronze here. Boy, this could go so many different ways, but that's going to be my official prediction, which frankly, I think I've been wrong on all of my peers' predictions all season, but that's all right. I just want a good competition at the end of the day. So, all right. Well, I'll be back for more previews for World Championships. So watch those in your podcatcher feed, and please subscribe to the podcast if you have not already. As always, thank you guys so much for listening. It feels like it's been a slow few weeks, like not, we have competition after competition for so many weeks in a row, and it's been like not a lot going on with the seniors. So I'm very, very excited to start some Worlds coverage with this podcast, and then some more coming at you. So as always, you can find me on all the socials at Ice Skate Podcast, and you can send me a line also at thecuttingedgepod@gmail.com. Thanks all of you for all of the lovely reviews and direct messages that you guys have been sending me. I so very much appreciate it. I hope you have a good rest of your week.